Nvy Yrd chats.
Nvy Yrd
Nvy All right, it's a great day to have a great day, guys. We're back again for another episode.
Fuck Rob.
Cheers. Nvy Yrd chats.
Nvy Yrd chats. Hey.
I would say fuck Chris, but he probably enjoys that sort of thing.
Not from you.
Don't fuck Chris.
I'm Tanya, heterosexual woman, and I would definitely only want to be in a monogamous relationship because I don't want to share, and it's just not for me. As I stated before, and I'll reiterate it again, this is all very new to me. I'm from Columbia, Missouri. I don't know anyone or think that I know anyone that has this lifestyle. So the question I ask, please don't be offended, is because I truly don't know.
Hello everyone. This is Kelvin Isom. I'm single, currently monogamous. I have dated poly swinger before. I had a swinger relationship as well before.
Sorry, Kelvin. I'm sorry.
My name is Christopher N. Smith, pronouns they, them. I am queer, polyamorous, currently nesting, have multiple partners as well. And I would just like to say for the group, I feel like this is the best lifestyle that exists.
My name is Rob Hall, Paul Street Journal. We're here to educate, edify, enlighten, and entertain. We're also here for the violence. We're here to save America. We are heterosexual men, normal, sane.
He's basically Team America.
Team America.
With the puppets. We're basically bringing back Team America.
So yeah, we're here to for those who are Christian conservatives and need a voice. We are here in the building. We are representing those who have some structure in their relationship and engagements. So, let's get it.
To introduce myself as the problem.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be terrible.
I'm here to debunk all that bullshit he's talking about. My name is Zakiyah Naila Payne, and I am a Washingtonian. I grew up in Southeast Washington, D.C. and moved to Upper Marlboro, so I'm all over the PG County area. I have been ethically non-monogamous for 15 years. I am married. I have a polycule of 5 women that I'm also involved with, and I also date outside of that. So as far as structure and life and spirituality, I'm here for all of it.
Okay.
Love it.
So you're married to a man or a woman? I just need to know this.
I am married to a man.
Okay, good to go. So
I've been with my husband since 17, so high school sweethearts, and been together for 21 years.
All right, okay. So I'm gonna come back to you. So I have a lot for you.
That's great.
So what is you said nesting, and when I think of nesting, I think that someone's about to have a kid. You're gonna stay inside before the kid's born. What do you mean when you say nesting? Because you said that
you live with each other.
Well,
Similar to what you're already thinking, nesting.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean we're gonna have kids. I have a vasectomy. I'm good on that. But you're living with somebody. You're sharing bills.
I don't want any kids.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
I got a puppy.
I love you. You can still be number 5.
We would be cute. Take out the house.
We would, but
never mind.
My son almost 14. I'm not starting over.
I wouldn't either. Fuck that shit.
You're about to start your Nick Cannon at almost 40.
Shit. But nesting just means you live together. You're you share economics together, you're building a household together in that type of way, to the extent you continually talk about and agree to, like you would do in any other relationship structure.
Conservative Christians, they're shacked up. That's how that goes. I'm old school. 50 years old. I'm 50.
Sure.
I'm sorry. That's what we called it. We call it they shacked up.
What I want to get into today, I want to dive into some of the boundaries. So a few questions about boundaries. So how do you guys establish your boundaries with your partners? You're married, right? So how do you establish that with the person you're married with, and I'm assuming you're living with as well, and your other partners that you all have contracted or like agreed to be within this the poly relationship with? And how do you differentiate, or do those boundaries change over time, or are they set in stone?
I don't believe in that type of lifestyle where I set things in stone. I believe that everything is open communication. I'm going to grow, you're going to grow, we're going to continue to age and grow and have experiences and change who we are as people. So we got to continually choose each other as we go along in this life together. So that means we have to have what we call check-ins, sit down and have conversations about where we are and what's going on in our lives, and adjust to how we're feeling versus how we did feel and those type of things. far as boundaries, they're no different than any of the boundaries you set with your coworkers, your family. You ain't gonna call me on some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Give me some type of advance warning. We're gonna communicate like adults. And that's what exists within all partnerships. My romantic partnerships have the same type of boundaries and communications that the other partnerships in my life do.
Okay.
Maybe a little more.
What are the terms and conditions of your marriage? Not other stuff, but just the marriage itself. How do you define marriage and know that you're married?
Because I legally signed a paper at a courthouse.
That's the only thing. Is it just legal? I mean, that's you're laughing, but
No, I'm just.
I'm trying to understand because if marriage is merely a legal contract, is your marriage anything beyond a legal contract? Since 17, you didn't have a legal contract. What is it? How do you define that you're married?
I define our marriage
Broadly.
I broadly define our marriage as a commitment to continually choose each other.
So does your husband have other partners as well?
Yes.
Absolutely
Okay.
does.
Absolutely does.
Okay.
Absolutely does.
Okay.
He has had longer sustaining relationships than I have.
So how do you feel? Like, because I know how I feel. I'm very territorial. I love you, but you don't really love me.
Like the ultimate Trump card.
So how do you
So-
feel whenever your husband brings home another woman? Like, are you okay with, like, hey, good for you, high five? I mean, how do you feel
Hey, boo.
inside?
Fine.
Okay.
I think one, we have to look at the fact that I've been in a lifestyle of what I title polyamorous for 12 years. I recently switched over to just being ethically non-monogamous within the last 2-3 years since the pandemic.
Just a difference.
So you just made a choice.
Yes.
So this is something that, so you choose how you identify, correct?
Don't we all?
Well, let's be clear about what the
Facts.
definitions are. Polyamorous versus ethically non-monogamous, because I thought one was a subset of the other.
Mhm.
So one is a subset of the other.
Mhm.
Polyamory is a subset of ethically non-monogamy. So ethically non-monogamy is your hood massive umbrella.
Yep.
So within ethically non-monogamy, you're going to have all these different strings that fall underneath of it. We start with open, honest communication. That's going to be where your ethical come from. Your non-monogamy is going to come from loving more than just one person, interacting with more than just one person, different spans of how I engage.
Mhm.
And monogamy, which I'm just not, and I just haven't been ever. I tried it a little bit, just never. Actually, I don't even know if I can say I've ever really truly tried it more than like 3 years of my life. It's just never been my thing. Even, and like we said, I've been with my husband since 17. I've been with my girlfriend since I was 14. I came out the closet as a lesbian at 14, and I started dating a guy at 17.
This is interesting.
Very
This is so interesting. So with the marriage, are you obviously bisexual? Are there other men that you involved with, or is it just your husband as far as men?
Oh no, I definitely date men.
Mm-hmm.
I date men. I love men. I've been in a relationship with somebody for 4 years, another partner for 2 years. I've definitely had long-lasting relationships with men as well as women. I am currently not with any men. They have a tendency to be a little harsh when you break up. Like the whole being like
But I think
friends
that women-
afterwards don't really
They don't work as like a
the same type of
platonic.
being. The platonic energy kind of shifts with us being able to still be friends differently with men than it does with women for some reason. I mean, there's still asshole women out there, but
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because women, I think,
Definitely.
are more
Absolutely,
emotional. Like men are.
that's
men
the
are-
delusion.
No, I was gonna clean that up.
People
After I
always
said
wanna
it,
say
after I
that.
said that, I was gonna clean up. Men are. I get a lot of emotional men.
What happened to
Then
that
you
tension
started
you had
thinking
today?
about it.
I do. There's a lot of emotional men, but I will say, like, I mean, I just okay. So
Women are geared to approach and identify our emotions differently.
Yeah.
We overanalyze them. We think about them. We think about how they're going to affect the people that we involve in. When we take that moment and we pause and we self-reflect and then we engage with the community going forward. Men have tantrums within themselves, even if they're trying to be quote unquote not this or not that. They still can't release that fight within them because they've been raised and conditioned to be like, have this fight within them. So even when they're trying to be cordial or whatever, like you feel like it's not, I don't want to, this is going to sound fucked up. The self-work type of thing is a little bit different. You're going to come across some people that are more enlightened towards the self-work, which is why I tend to like my non-monogamous community a little bit more than my monogamous community, only because of the pressure to do the self
Self-work,
work that
absolutely.
we put on each other.
In your marriage, which is what's fascinating to me, in your marriage, where you have a commitment to continuously choose each other, just the
Right.
words that you use.
Yeah.
And obviously that commitment is not physical choosing or sexual choosing. What would constitute infidelity to that relationship? Because obviously it ain't physical. But
Lack of communication.
So your commitment is to communicate forever.
Our commitment is to communicate to forever, to choose each other and show up in each other's lives forever, to be the people that are each other's support system forever, to be the person that's got each other's back forever, from death, do it till death do us part.
Do you guys live together?
Yes.
Okay.
See, now what's interesting about her situation.
What's interesting also about my situation is that even though we live together, we have separate bedrooms. We conduct our household in the way that we do.
So how do you schedule intimate time with your husband if you sleep separately? Do you say, hey, listen, I'm coming today? Or I mean, how does that work?
We come into the house and we live in our house the way we do, and either I'll get in my bed and he'll come get in my bed with me, or I'll go get in his bed and he'll get in his bed with me, and we
But don't you
share.
feel isn't that weird because you know other
People have been
vaginas
in
have
that
been
bed.
there,
Fuck
right?
no, I don't give a fuck about their vaginas. Why would I care about somebody else's vagina?
Period.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting,
I hope it was good.
what's
I hope
interesting
it's
to me
washed.
is that when we
Okay.
talked last week,
Yeah.
we were talking about polyamory.
Yeah.
Then we talked about polygamy and
Polyandry.
Still don't get it all.
polyandry,
Polyamorous.
right? We talked about a lot of different things.
The definitions.
What
of
Z
breakdowns.
is operating in is really a hybrid.
Yeah.
I could not
Absolutely.
actually consider, based on what she shared, her to be 100% polyamorous because she has a marriage.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
the,
look.
the majority of polyamorous people
So,
are married.
All right, first
Majority.
thing. Hold on. First thing, we gotta let people finish. You're right.
So what I'm saying is,
This was somebody who doesn't know the definition of polyamory.
okay, maybe I'm mistaken. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
But the point is, and you'll get an opportunity to spell that out in a moment. Sir.
Tell us.
So the point is that from what I'm hearing, she has a marriage that, other than the physical commitment to monogamy, has all of the accoutrements and benefits of a traditional marriage. It is
Yeah,
it
it
is
does.
it is bedrock, it is foundation, it is forever, it is life, it has structure, it is for life, it has structure, it has substance, it is clearly defined, and it is not something that can just be changed by either party on the whim, like I'm committed to you forever today. But tomorrow it might not be. It's an actual lifelong commitment, which to me is a structure that makes what she's talking about very different emotionally and for the long term than what we were talking about last week as what Chris was presenting, right?
Well, that's
to
not
me,
what I was presenting.
when she is 80, she's still gonna be married to her husband. And that is fundamentally different to me. That's just my opinion.
Introduction with that is going to be, I also have the same commitment with my other partners.
Yeah.
So with my polycule, we've been together for 5 years.
Can you tell me what that means? Because I don't get it.
Think of
So-
a molecule and how everything like builds together to work towards a function.
Uh-huh.
Polycule.
Okay, like poly. Okay. I got it.
Multiple.
Okay, I got it.
multiple
being-
partners and
You all work together
relationship.
Like one
as a cell.
nucleus.
In the poly,
We're a
in the
nucleus.
group of people that we have a relationship.
Yeah.
Just
It's like a friendship.
It's another word for group, polycule.
Okay,
They
okay.
just make it sound fly. It's cool.
Well,
But
no,
she
it depends
doesn't
on how
say
you're
she's married
connected.
to them. She says, I have the
committed.
same relationship, but I don't call them me. I don't say they're married to me.
Because I
And
haven't
why not?
married them.
But why not?
Legally.
I can.
So for you,
No,
legally,
legally you can't.
Hopefully
Legally-
this will be aired
legally you
later,
can't.
and this isn't aired now
Yeah.
because one of my partners is proposing to her other partner this weekend,
Mm.
and that is a major thing that we have all been
Let's go.
participating in, and
Congrats to
and
her.
planned on how the engagement was going to go. We're all going to be bridesmaids, and we do marry, and she's been married for 20 years as well, and she's been with her soon-to-be wife, her fiance, for about 7 years now, and now they're making the additional commitments to tie each other into each other's lives. They raise their children together.
Mm.
They live together.
Let's go.
All of these type of things. Now with me and my partners, we do all live in different areas, but we participate in everything. When baby girl went to prom, we was all there.
Boom, let's go.
When baby girl graduated, we were all there. When so-and-so's father is in the hospital, we're there. Girlfriend father has cancer right now and she's moving to Michigan. I was just recently there Thursday packing her up. And like, we are active participants in each other's lives. We are committed to each other, not just through, hey, I got your back during hard times, but financially. I help pay for college tuitions. Like, we have shared bank accounts. We've traveled together and brought out whole fucking islands because that's what we decided we wanted to do with quality time.
You have all that without the marriage. Why do you get married?
For me, the marriage that I chose between me and my husband, because
tax breaks.
We were no,
not with your husband. Somebody else.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Me and my husband were polyamorous 5 years before we got married. We got married polyamorous. We didn't get married and then decide that we wanted to be polyamorous. We went through 13 years of being together and going back and forth and being ethically non-monogamous, choosing polyamory as our chosen version of ethically non-monogamous, to deciding, hey, you know what? I want to keep you forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I want to say it in front of God. I want to say it in front of my family. And we made that choice.
Right. So there's a difference now between what it was before you made that choice. Or is it the same? And if it is the same, then why'd you make the choice? Why'd you say it before God and the law and man?
Because we've been conditioned to do that shit.
No, I want to.
Are you guys disagreeing?
I want to say this.
Ooh, I like it.
The legality of it makes a fucking difference. It's definitely
to
been times where you can be like, you know what? I'm going to need a break from you. And that break feels different without the legality than it does with the legality.
Exactly.
Because during that break, you still got a lot of things that's happening.
Absolutely.
I mean, we got companies together, we got taxes together, we got, mortgages. Like, we have, it's different type of things that carry a different structure of weight. Not to say that you can't have those things with people that you aren't married to. There's definitely trust. There's definitely
and there's memorandums of understanding that are legal.
Different things that you can do. It's just, it's different. It is. And I would never, knock somebody that's married and somebody that's not married. There is a fucking difference when you are married.
Very much so.
Okay.
I'm agree with you there, Z. There is a difference when you're married.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What are your expectations? I got your list. What are your expectations from each one of your relationships? So I know that you and Ashley have an understanding where it's what it is. So what are your expectations, or what are they expecting from you? Because if I entered a relationship, I want to know what my expectations are into the situation, because I would expect you to be there for me as I would be there for you.
Escalation.
So
yeah, she's talking about escalation.
No.
So I just want to know, what do they expect of you? I mean, I would want to.
Each of their just like anything else, each of the expectations are individual to the relationship that you have. It's not like, oh, this is base level. There is a base level. Like, you're gonna have to respect me, communicate with me in some type of way, be honest with me, be transparent, be authentic, so on and so forth. I feel like that's base level for anything. But when it goes into the intricacies of the individual relationships, that's according to who you are to that person and with that person. So
that person individually.
So it's just like anything else. It's, hey, we have this interaction, we have this relationship. What can I do to feed you? What can you do to feed me? For me, my thing is be on time. That is my thing. My time is worth more than anything. It's the one thing in life I can't get back.
Yeah.
So if I'm taking my time out to schedule time for you, you better be there when you say you're going to be there. Period. Because I could be doing so much other stuff, but I stopped my life, and I would want somebody else to do that for me. That, like, you'll never see me late to a date.
15 minutes away, I'm going to be there in 15 minutes.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll never see me late for a date because I respect your time.
And I do too.
I'm
very. That's why time bothers me so much.
Yeah. Exactly. That's my number one. That's
that's good.
That's my number one. My number one is time. My number two is, if you have an expectation of me and you don't communicate it and you still hold me responsible for it, I'm not responsible for it because I never agreed to it. So tell me what it is that you need from me, and I can say yes or no. And if I say yes, no, I'm going to hold to it.
Those are boundaries.
Until
No, period. It's
That's his boundary.
Period.
But he gets to change.
I will hold to it.
Because we talked last week, so you can
Period.
change.
Everybody can change at
your
any point in
opinion,
time.
you're
But
not
if
a
I
slave.
say I'm going to hold to it, just like people get divorces,
Right.
people can say after a while, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. So the point you're trying to make is something that humans do, period. It's not monogamous, it's not polyamorous, it's just human
There's
interaction.
a difference between
So,
a text message that
I'm sorry,
says-
I'm not done talking.
Okay.
So it gets to the point where I feel like, and I understand that people are going to grow and change over a life. As long as we continually talk about those boundaries over time, is this. A commitment isn't a solitary, static thing. Commitment, as my beautiful, beautiful non-monogamous person, it changes, and you have to continually choose. And I want this person to continually choose. And if the choice that their person's making changes, then let me know that the choice is changing so we can work from there and figure out how we're going to interact. I think that the idea of commitment has come to this ideology that you promised to this, so you must do this forever. And that is toxic because no person is forever the same person at any point in time. So if you want a relationship to be loving and last, you have to be okay with things changing. And when you
gotta keep meeting each other.
you
where
gotta
you are.
keep meeting where you are. Like, think about being the most stiff person in a muscular frame, in a body. If you're stiff, what happened? You break. You don't bend. You're not flexible. So everything that comes against you automatically snaps you in half. Do you want to snap in half?
Depending. We'll talk later.
Yeah, I don't think we're a good fit.
Mhm.
And going through a divorce proceeding, like those are two very different experiences.
Legally.
And practically speaking as
Legally.
well. Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Yeah, all right.
There's two.
I'm speaking.
I got you,
All
B.
right, so that would mean you speaking.
You can pour that tequila, baby. Let's go.
All right, so there's a difference.
Hey,
There's
put me a little bit more. I ain't gonna make it.
Wait, what other
There-
questions
there-
you
there-
got to answer?
No. I'll let you speak. Now I'm gonna speak.
You didn't
now.
let me speak. I spoke.
Now the reality is that there's a difference between getting a text
We
message to
should've
say,
brought some
"Hey, this is not a good fit," and going through a divorce. And the thing about Z's situation that is so interesting
It's
to me
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
because she actually has a relationship that you can't end with a text message.
You can.
Yeah.
And
I
you-
can't. I can be.
You
I can be.
not legally
Hold
because
on,
you said
hold
no.
on.
I'm
Hold on.
speaking
You
because you,
are-
said legally you got married. You can't divorce with a text message. So that's not the case. That's
You
just
are old
that
enough to
sounds.
remember the days of I'm going to go get milk or a pack of cigarettes and never coming home again. Papa was a Rolling Stone, so you can do
Papa's
anything.
still married.
You can do anything.
If Papa died had anything, they gonna still find Mama because legally he's still
You can
married.
do anything.
If he's
You
not
can do
divorced, so
anything.
You
that-
can do
so,
anything.
so, but it doesn't mean it actually has the function.
There you go.
So the point is that there's a difference between being married and ending a relationship with a text message, which is why, as you identified, you get married because you talked about forever. You didn't talk about in temporary terms. You didn't talk
talk
about
about forever.
until it changed. My feelings change. Whatever. It's not like you made a forever commitment. Now people come out of forever commitments through quote unquote divorce. But the
Yes.
point is that there was a forever commitment to begin with, so that there is now something to have fidelity to, which is the basis for infidelity.
But there's a such thing as polyfidelity as well.
Bing.
Okay, so explain polyfidelity.
It's a mixture of fidelity, being committed to just those people, and being polyamorous, which means multiple people.
It's
You
a
can
closed
be
relationship
a
style.
closed relationship with your set amount of people with no additives, no extra structures, and have things detailed and broken how you want them to be. I know people with a signed relationship agreement contract.
Fidelity situation, you still have a commitment to something.
Yes.
Because if you have a commitment to nothing, you are operating in relational anarchy and defining it as freedom.
Oh, he looked
I
it up.
am a relationship
Anarchist.
anarchist.
Let's go.
Hi.
Right. So
I identify as a relationship
Right.
anarchist. Nice to
And
meet you.
That's great. So if you're operating in relational anarchy, then how do you, which means there's no rule, how do you then reconcile that with the rules you have between you and your husband?
Because
If you're really an anarchist, how do you have rules with your husband?
okay, so I get this question a lot. How is it that I can be a relationship anarchist and be married, right?
And
this
have
is-
rules
this
with your
is-
husband.
This is going
In your
to
marriage.
sound so fucking immature.
Okay.
And I do not care. I
Cheers.
always base this question back to an episode on MTV
Let's get it.
of that motherfucking show Awkward. They had this
Yes.
weird fucking episode where everybody had to wear labels and title themselves as different things. And you had a motherfucker that was a jock, motherfucker that was a nerd, motherfuckers that was into the computer lab, this and that, da 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 da. She went into the booth and she didn't know which to pick. And she came out with 16 fucking stickers on her. Bitch, I felt seen in that moment. Because here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna identify myself in a way that helps you better understand how to interact and how to see me.
Bing.
So me, I identify as a relationship anarchist because there are people in my life and in my relationships that have the same level as my husband to me. My girlfriends that I've been with for 5 years are my tier ones, no different than my husband. Like I said, we'll tie finances in together, our travel, our commitment tree, our time tree, and following each other. And no, like if you're on a flight right now, ain't no way I don't know when you check in, what's your gate, you this and that, da 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 da. And that's all 5 of us. We are committed on that level to each other. So my relationships aren't treachery, secondary, and broke down
It's
all
not
these
hybrid in
different
that
type
way.
of ways. So for me, I identify as a relationship anarchist also, which comes down to obligation. And I feel obligated to everyone in my life.
Absolutely.
I give 100% of myself. I don't piece off what
Yes,
I'm going
sir.
to do for you, what I'm going to do for that. If you're a part of my life and you matter to me, I do, however, this is where I fuck people up by being different, operate on a tier system. So I do have people that are tier 1s for me, which I say my husband and my girlfriends are, people that are tier 2s, people that are tier 3s and tier 4s, we're just associates and we see
But that
each
comes
other
more
in
from
the-
longevity.
That comes from longevity. So these things matter to me. So I believe that I practice relationship anarchy in a hierarchical manner, whereas my tier 1s all get the same pieces of me and whatever. My tier 2s may get a little bit less. I might tell you, you know what? I'm a little busy. I'm not available at this
Right.
moment. I would never tell anybody in my tier 1 that I'm busy. That's a word that never comes out of my mouth. I don't give a fuck.
Because that's
You
family.
call on me.
Do you guys ever share partners? Like, do you ever bring home somebody and you're like, oh, I'm gonna tag my, in because this is how we get down. Do you guys ever share partners? Is that okay in your lifestyle? And your face is killing me. But I just want to know, do you guys ever share partners? Do you ever sometimes like he'll be
You wanna
like,
go
come on
first?
over, girl, or
I feel like the questions are very sexual based.
Bing.
My commitment levels are more than sexually based.
There you go.
One of the reasons that I switched over from identifying as polyamorous to more enclosing myself as ethically non-monogamous, where my husband doesn't. My husband fully is polyamorous. He does not believe in uncommitted sexual partners.
Period.
I am fine with
But not
Doing what
all
the fuck
polyamorous people believe in uncommitted sexual partners.
I mean, there are poly swingers and poly. I mean, because they
Yeah.
look at swinging as an activity versus an
As
identification.
an identification,
marker.
yeah.
But for me, I feel as though I can't always emotionally commit to everybody that I enjoy spending time with.
Absolutely.
Me and my husband particularly practice parallel polyamory.
so it means you
There's
function as two
Individuals
units.
that do our
Y'all moving out. It's like you running the 100. Y'all in the same lanes, but
we're
y'all
not
just not in
doing
the same
stuff together.
Yeah.
You're on this lane where we're going the same direction together, but we don't necessarily have to
Cross
intertwine
lanes.
our relationships, our people, our sex, our any of those type of things.
Yeah.
Have we had threesomes? Fucking of course. We've been together for 21 years. I'm freaky. It is what it is. Does he have fucking threesomes or other engagements with his other partners? I'm sure. Do I know about them? I don't need to. That's not my business. His in relationships with his partners and what they do in their sexual life is their fucking business. Only thing I need to know is whether or not there's a baby coming home or there was an STD that was sprayed.
Period.
And for me, the same way. I mean, I engage in play. I engage in play with other partners or
What does that
free-
mean? What is play?
We're
Play
looking
means
at-
fucking.
We're looking
Oh, he said no.
But also we're looking
It
at
also can be BDSM
Hold on.
and it can be
it
non-sexual
can be kink
play.
BDSM, it can be all of
How
that.
I'm
do you
also
guys
a dom
learn
A.
all these things and keep it?
Because
That's
it's
my
I've been doing this for so many
It's a
years.
culture.
It's a culture.
Like
It's a
imagine,
culture.
it's like imagine literally like engulfing yourself into something where all these things exist all the time.
Yeah,
So,
it's just a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot because you haven't engulfed yourself
I
in
don't.
it.
I'm good.
I
When you
literally
do-
talked to
I'm learning
Calvin
from you
about
guys.
not necessarily being available for this podcast
Yeah.
because I had a BDSM client in this weekend.
But what was the question? Because
So I had to do that too. So
what was the question?
play doesn't necessarily equate
I
to
was my question was to you. Oh, thank you for answering. I
multiple
appreciate
partners.
you. Do you ever share partners? Like you're like, okay, well this girl be bad for you, Ashley. I mean, how do you guys?
Oh, you can put a partner on without sharing them. I've definitely put partners on.
To share your husband.
To have him, not to share it. I mean, you would sharing to me
is
is
what they're separate things.
Like you gotta take out the ownership piece of it. It's that concept that I think is the hardest thing to just try to like approach. Even
we totally disagree on this, but I'm gonna let him have this.
Right, to approach, and that's the beauty of
Clearly, they disagree.
So it's the ownership piece for me. When first question. That's a different conversation.
Yes, don't get into that right now.
Do we share? We have shared, but it's not like, again, going back to it's not just in a sexual manner at all. I think that a lot of the disconnect between various relationship structures is still the centrality of sexuality. And that not being literally just tempered with, hey, these people still communicate. These people still pay bills together. These people raise kids together. It's always like, well, who you fucking? Why does having sex dictate so much of everybody else's relationship structures when it's something that is so temporary?
Because people feel as though sharing your body with somebody
so
is entitled to
them. So it just gets to that. Like that is a question that I've always asked.
But then there's also the WAP culture.
But it is the WAP culture. Then there's this. I've never had an issue with how anybody wants to frame their structures or what level of importance they put certain things in their interactions. My only issue is when they project their frame as a point of understanding mine instead of emptying their slate and understanding I'm coming from a completely different point of view. So, like, don't project what you already think you know. Come empty. And then be like, oh, okay, this is completely different from what I thought it was because I'm not projecting something on it. So, no, I would, listen, I have sexually, non-sexually put partners on other people. Why? Because I love joy.
Compersion.
I'm compersion. And this is a term we've never covered. Compersion is when you're actually seeing your partner, you're happy that your partner's happy interacting with somebody else. You see the joy that they're having. You're like, oh, they're having a great time. It's like when your friend groups finally meet for the first time and you see everybody get along. You're just like, oh, it's such joy that comes to it. And it's not threatening. It's not da-da-da. It has commitment based to it. It has so on and so forth based to it. I just believe that, and utterly honestly, that there's not one right way to go about it. But I do think that being closed off to possibilities ultimately limits your life experience. And if that is okay with you, that's okay with you. But it's not okay with me.
If you are a relational anarchist who follows rules, then you're not truly an anarchist. Because if you are a relational anarchist, that means you don't follow rules. If you follow rules, you're not an anarchist. That, by definition, for the sane people out there, that's a contradiction. It's a clear contradiction. And so people will have these relationships with one another that are essentially marriages. And I don't have an issue with a marriage that you change the boundaries of a marriage because there's an actual commitment to something. For these people who are polyamorous with no rules and no structure, they're like basketball players who bring a trampoline or a freaking ladder to the court and just score all they want and go, I'm a great basketball player. Bro, you're not even playing basketball.
Well, what if their rules and structures exist,
but my point is this.
That part.
You are only great if you can excel within an actual structure. So
Maybe you don't understand the structure.
So I can't drive on the wrong side of the road in the name of freedom and say, well, my ancestors were enslaved, so I'm free and I can drive on the left side of the road in America. No, you can't.
You can, and then you have to face the consequences.
Exactly.
So the whole thing about it is you can do whatever you want in life.
It's extremely,
be prepared for the consequences.
Of course, so it's extremely dysfunctional, and
False.
it's really nothing. It's much ado about nothing. It's there's no actual structure if the structure can change. Every time you say I'm going to get married, what you're actually saying is I'm going to make a commitment to some set of rules that I can have fidelity or infidelity to. And if you don't have that, you have really nothing. You have nothing at all.
So are you afraid of change?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
If you come empty and hear something out and the rationale doesn't make sense, it's okay to come back to some version of your original conclusions, because the argument is poor. It's not because somebody's empty.
Or maybe
it's
you never
because
came
the
empty.
argument
Let me
is
take
actually not a good argument. It
'Cause
doesn't
you're not
make any
flexible.
sense.
One is you want to hear the difference in what we're saying and not the similarity.
Well, what you're saying is the same thing, though.
So here's what you're saying. Here's what you're saying and not hearing, is that there's no structure and agreement and rules and regulation. It's just pure anarchy, right?
That's what they said last week.
But
No, that's not what we said.
Chris already told you there's a baseline to this, which is your rules and your structure and the things
Foundation.
that you're
If
looking
you can
for, your
change the rules
foundation.
at will, what is there? What else is there?
What I am looking for, that is the baseline that is never, ever, ever, ever going to change. And ethical
Period.
non-monogamy is the ethical part. Ethical is never, ever, ever going to change. So with that being the structure, the baseline, that comes with certain levels of communication, comes with certain amount of self-awareness, with certain levels of respect between us, period. No
Can a
matter what
partner
lane you
change-
decide to take that in,
Okay.
that structure exists and has to be honored
So the fundamental structure is being honest. That's it.
and
Transparent
communicative
and authentic
transparent.
and
And
communicative.
your relationship can change on the whim of any partner at any time.
Every partner,
Unilateral.
every partner that you add into your life is a different personality, is a different being, is a different person with a different background, with a different story, with a different communication style, a different attachment style, a different love language. All of those things are going to change who you are with that individual and may eventually change who you are as a person.
Which is what should happen.
Absolutely.
Change is the only
So
constant.
why are you looking for someone not to change?
I'm not looking for someone not to change.
So why is it a problem that
you
can change at any
said
time?
you said something that they didn't say last week, which is that the baseline is being ethical,
Yes.
right?
That's what we said from the beginning.
A structure, a set of rules. You have a marriage in another form. The first thing she did, he brought her here to support his argument, which had no marriage at all, no real actual commitment. Because
Legal.
anybody can change anything, legal or otherwise.
Legal.
really, because anytime you have a commitment, that
See, you
can be
keep bringing
changed
that up like
at
anybody can
will,
change-
you
anybody
don't have
can
anything.
change anything at
but
will,
you brought
period,
a
in
person
life.
who's made a lifelong, forever
And she
commitment.
could change when she wanted to, too.
How do you change?
Rob, can I read a definition to you that may help you?
Sure.
Bing.
Okay. So right now I had to look for the definition that I follow. Everybody practices things differently. But the definition of relationship anarchy that I follow is the one by Carlos Del Rio.
I love that one.
Relationship anarchy. A philosophy or practice in which people are seen as free to engage in any relationships they choose. That spontaneity and freedom are desirable and necessary traits in healthy relationships. That no relationship should be entered into or restricted from a sense of duty, obligation, any relationship choice, should there be a choice made, allowable, in which there is not necessarily a clear distinction between quote unquote partner and non-partner. Remember, I was telling you about how I give myself 100% to people that are in my lives because that's what I choose. That's the type of unstructured relationship anarchy that exists within my
But it's
life.
still structured.
Is to an extent. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. But that's how this definition is broke down. So relationship anarchy is extending the tenets of anarchy into relationships. It is fundamentally political in a way that the social meaning of polyamory. It follows into the social meaning of
So there's a
polyamory.
difference between extending tenets of anarchy and
So I have a question.
and operating in anarchy.
Well,
Because
that's the title
because the very
of
fact
how
let me
relationship anarchy is
finish.
identified.
The very fact that you have a definition, you don't get to change the definition of a word, right? You
just-
say
you
it's
just don't
something
like
different
change.
than
But
what
there
it is.
are multiple definitions
Thank
of that
you.
one terminology.
Right.
Just
You just got
like
an issue with change.
But
solo
I can't-
polyamory carries different definitions as well. Some people that are solo polyamorous do not believe in nesting. That is the primary definition of solo polyamory,
Period.
right? But there are other people that take the definition of solo polyamory to a form of lackadaisical commitment, whereas they don't necessarily believe in certain escalation besides nesting. Like they don't want to do anything that has any form of commitment to
Like
it.
what
They
you
wanna
have.
be able
They don't
to
want to
have-
do what you do.
Exactly. They don't want to do what I
That
do.
form of commitment. But that
So-
doesn't mean they lack commitment.
Exactly, but it's not following the same structure of escalation.
The question becomes commitment to what?
So I have a question. What's for the people who don't identify as consensually non-monogamous, right? In your relationships, right? What is it that makes you feel the most fulfilled and comfortable in your relationships?
To answer Chris's question, what makes me
And
feel
you in the middle, so you got.
yeah. But really, it's all about communication for me. Like it has to be transparency, communication, in whatever the relationship is, and that makes me feel the most fulfilled because it's like I'm being heard and I'm being seen, and vice versa for my partner.
I don't even know because I jump her relationship so fast, man.
Well, when you were married, what made you feel comfortable in the marriage?
Just knowing that person was there. Just knowing that they were
like
there.
being physically
Stability.
present.
Physically there.
Stability.
Mentally there. Financially, because I ain't pay no bills.
I don't
Goddamn it.
want to worry about.
I miss that life.
What about now? Like married? What now?
And now,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing. That's why I'm single.
But what are you looking for? What would
What
make
will make me
What are
happy?
you searching for in that?
6'4".
You are really big on physical. Every part of the conversation that we've had has been a lot of physical.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
this is true.
Mhm.
And I've been depriving myself, but
So
Are you okay?
in your relationship
I'm
that
not
you're seeking for, she crying for help, y'all.
She said, "Send a life raft."
If you were 6'4" and above,
a lifesaver.
please.
I think for me, structure is important, which is why last week even I supported the idea of polygamy or polyandry, because the fact that there's more than one wife or more than one husband is less consequential to me than the fact that there's a structure and a commitment to something that actually means something that there can be fidelity and or infidelity to. So to have a team where anybody can play any base, anybody can do anything, you can do that.
That's a dream team.
But the likelihood of you winning the World Series is low.
Shit.
If I'm gonna be the catcher 1 minute, the pitcher the next minute, no one's assigned to anything, no one has any roles and responsibility, that the likelihood of being successful as a structure, as a group, becomes much more slim. So when I'm looking for in a relationship is structure, is roles, is areas of responsibility, is commitment, is something that is settled so we all know who we are, what we're supposed to do. And if we choose to change that, we come together and make that decision as in a way that would need to be mutually agreed upon. So,
KTP.
that's what I think
If
is
he
most
were
important.
to ever be polyamorous, he would be KTP because he has to have a say in everything.
I don't have to say
No.
everything.
You don't understand what KTP. Do you know what KTP is?
Why do you say I have to have a
Do
say in
you
everything?
know what?
No, I don't.
It's called kitchen table polyamory. It means that everybody in a relationship structure, if there's a decision to be made within the relationships of everybody, that everybody has a say.
Okay.
You are KTP. That wasn't an insult. That wasn't coming at you. So chill. It is KTP. It is a form of polyamory that people have decided as a group to come together and make decisions upon who's going to talk to who, somebody else who's going to come in as a group. Is a form of structure. Now,
It's something that you said that make my ass itch. I'm sitting over here trying to
Feel free to hit your ass now.
figure out-
because but also he doesn't understand all the intricacies.
Because I'm really 50-50 on it myself. Well, I'm 60-40 on it myself. Therefore, it's hard for me to have this debate within myself to be able to in the right manner. Because just the same way Chris feels about ownership, he does not believe in ownership. He does not believe in ownership titles, where I believe
Absolutely.
that one person has enough room for more property of stamp. I can put property of stamp on your ass and there still be enough room for the other bitch to put a
You
property
have
of
a
stamp
whole
on
herd
you.
of cats.
But you mine.
Okay.
So when I say you mine, you mine. So you said
But
something.
not in the controlling way.
Yeah.
That's
But you
the
said something
yeah.
about roles, which make me want to bust in the room, put mics down, fucking rip shit off the fucking wall.
Yeah.
The fuck you mean a role?
What do you mean? What the fuck I mean a role?